This is the audiobook. This is the blueprint. And if you stay until the end, you will walk away with one skill that most people never develop: discipline. Not motivation, not inspiration. Discipline. The ability to do what you said you would do, long after the mood has disappeared. The ability to push when your mind wants to stop. The ability to build a life that does not collapse under pressure. Today, you learn how to build a mind that does not quit, no matter what. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Stop waiting for motivation. You've been lied to your entire life. You've been told that you need to feel ready. You've been told that you need that spark, that energy, that perfect moment. But here's the truth. Motivation is unreliable, inconsistent, and emotionally fragile. It collapses the moment life becomes uncomfortable. It disappears the moment things stop being convenient. And if you continue building your life around motivation, you will spend the rest of your life waiting. Waiting for the right mood. Waiting for the right time. Waiting for the imaginary day when everything feels perfect. If you wait for motivation, you wait forever. Say it again. If you wait for motivation, you wait forever. You have a choice. You can keep believing the lie, or you can accept the truth that successful people learned long before you ever started. They don't act because they feel ready. They don't move because the moment is perfect. They don't build their lives around emotion. They build their lives around action. That's the key. Look around you. You already know people who live their entire lives trapped in the waiting cycle. They talk about what they want to do. They talk about their big idea. They talk about their dreams, their plans, their next attempt, but nothing happens. Ever. Why? Because every time the moment to act arrives, they check their feelings before they check their goals. I'm tired. I'm not ready. I'll start next week. I'm just not motivated right now. And so they wait. They wait a month, a year, a decade, and then the dream dies in silence. Not because it was impossible, not because they lacked talent. It died because they were waiting for a feeling that never came. You don't need their permission. You don't need the world to tell you it's time. You don't need to feel inspired to begin. Action comes first. Motivation comes second. This is the formula that successful people live by. This is the formula that disciplined people understand. Anyone can act when they feel good. Anyone can act when they're excited. Anyone can act when life is easy. But that's not discipline. That's convenience. And convenience doesn't change your life. You have to build the skill of acting when your emotions resist you. You have to train your body to move even when your mind complains. You have to learn to separate how you feel from what you do. That separation is everything. That separation is discipline. Let me give you a real example. Think of the person who says they want to start working out. They buy new shoes, they buy new clothes, they buy supplements, they watch videos, read articles, make playlists. But the next morning, when the alarm rings, they hit snooze. Why? Because they were motivated to prepare, but not disciplined to act. Then there's another person. No fancy clothes, no perfect plan, no inspiration. The alarm rings, and they get up. Not because they want to,
Not because they feel ready, but because they decided. They made the choice. And as they move, as they breathe, as they sweat, something begins to shift. Action creates motivation. Movement creates momentum. Doing creates desire. That's the truth people never learn. Motivation doesn't start the process. Action does. You have a choice every single day. Wait for the feeling or build the habit. Wait for the mood or follow the plan. Wait for inspiration or execute anyway. The difference between a disciplined life and a chaotic one comes down to one question. Who is in charge? Your emotions or your decisions? When you wait for motivation, you're letting your emotions lead. You're letting fear choose. You're letting fatigue decide. You're letting laziness win. But when you act without motivation, you're sending a message to yourself. A powerful message. A message that says, I am in control. I choose the direction. I move because I said I would. Every time you act without motivation, you strengthen the muscle of discipline. Every time you follow through when you don't feel like it, you build identity. And identity is what sustains you long after the excitement fades. Think about elite performers, athletes, writers, entrepreneurs. They don't wake up every day feeling inspired. They don't magically feel motivated every morning. They don't rely on emotional energy to get things done. They rely on systems. They rely on standards. They rely on discipline. They act first, and the motivation catches up later, if it shows up at all. You have a choice. You can keep living like the average person, controlled by moods, emotions, and excuses. Or you can decide right now that you will act whether you feel like it or not. Let's break it down into simple instructions. Instruction 1. When you don't feel like doing something, do it for 2 minutes. Just 2. The mind resists starting, not doing. Instruction 2. Stop asking yourself, do I feel ready? Replace it with, what needs to be done? Instruction 3. Create a small, non-negotiable daily action, something you complete no matter what. Consistency builds identity. Instruction 4. Every time your mind says, not today, respond with, today anyway. That phrase rewires discipline. Instruction 5. When you're tired, overwhelmed, or uninspired, remind yourself, if you wait for motivation, you wait forever. That's the mantra. That's the rule. That's the standard that separates achievers from dreamers. Because here's the truth. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. Most people fail because they don't begin. They stand at the starting line for years, waiting for the emotional green light that never comes. They die in preparation mode. But not you. Not after today. Not after hearing this. You are building a mind that acts first and feels second. A mind that moves because it must. A mind that does not negotiate with weakness. You have a choice right now, in this moment. You can turn this chapter into information, or you can turn it into transformation. The difference is simple. Will you act when you're not motivated? Because that is the moment discipline is born. That is the moment identity shifts. That is the moment your life begins to change. And remember, if you wait for motivation, you wait forever. This is the foundation of the entire audiobook. This is the first brick in the mindset of a person who never quits. Act first, feel later. Move anyway. You now understand the lie. You now know the truth. You are ready for the next step. You stopped waiting. Now it's time to learn how to push through the moments you resist the most. Chapter 2. Do what you don't feel like doing. There is a moment in every single day when you face a choice. A moment where your body resists, your mind hesitates, your emotions pull you backward. That moment is the doorway to discipline, and most people run from it. Not because they are weak, not because they lack potential, but because they never learned the skill of doing what they don't feel like doing. This is the chapter where your excuses die. This is the chapter where resistance becomes your teacher. This is the chapter where you
to the repetitions that strengthen your identity. Repetition is not your enemy. Repetition is your foundation. Repetition is the thing that carries you through the days when nothing feels inspiring. Repetition is what builds the version of you that does not quit. You now understand the power behind consistent action. You understand why repetition matters more than inspiration. You understand the real engine behind discipline. Now it's time to take the next step. You've built the behavior. Now you must become the identity. Chapter 4. Master your inner dialogue. Your mind is always talking. Every hour, every minute, every second. The problem is simple. You've never learned to take control of the voice inside your own head. That voice, the one that tells you you're tired, the one that tells you you're not ready, the one that tells you other people are better, faster, stronger, more talented. You believe it, you obey it, and that is why you stay stuck. Today, that ends. You must master your inner dialogue. You must take command of the conversation happening in your mind every waking moment. Because here's the truth most people never hear. Your outer life is nothing but a reflection of your inner conversation. If your inner dialogue is weak, your outer world will always be limited. You have a choice. You can let the voice control you, or you control the voice. That's the key. Most people never question the voice. They never ask, is this true? Is this helpful? Is this who I want to be? They feel a negative thought and assume it is a fact. They hear an excuse and assume it is reasonable. They feel fear and assume it is a warning sign. Wrong. It's not a warning sign, it's resistance. And resistance is the barrier between the life you have and the life you want. So, let's break this down. Your inner dialogue has 3 destructive patterns. You must learn them. You must see them. You must override them. Pattern 1. The voice of doubt. This is the whisper that says, you can't. You're not enough. You always fail. You know this voice. You've heard it for years. But here's what you've never realized. Doubt isn't a truth. Doubt is a habit. A mental reflex, an automatic script written by fear, not reality. You have a choice. Stop treating doubt like a prophecy. Start treating it like noise. The people you admire? They hear doubt too. They just don't negotiate with it. They act anyway. That's the key. Action interrupts doubt. Repetition rewrites doubt. Pattern 2. The voice of excuses. This voice is seductive, comforting, dangerous. It always sounds reasonable. I'm too tired. I had a long day.
I'm just not feeling it right now. Notice the theme? Excuses always protect your feelings, never your future. You don't need their permission, not your feelings, not your comfort, not your laziness masquerading as logic. The excuse voice is the enemy of discipline, and you must tell it the simple truth. It's not about how I feel, it's about what I do. Every time you override an excuse, you weaken it. Every time you obey an excuse, you reinforce it. You are training your mind every single day, whether you realize it or not. Pattern 3. The voice of chaos. This is the constant noise, the overthinking, the spiraling, the replaying of old mistakes, the imagining of the worst possible future. It drains your focus, it steals your clarity, it convinces you that thinking harder is the same as becoming stronger. But thinking harder doesn't build discipline. Thinking harder just builds stress. You don't need more thinking. You need more choosing. You don't need more analysis. You need more action. When the voice becomes chaotic, when it feels loud and heavy and endless, tell yourself this: my mind is a tool. I am the one holding it. That's the key. Your mind is not your master. You are. Now let's talk about the transformation. How do you actually take control of your inner dialogue? Step 1. Interrupt the sentence. The moment you hear negativity, doubt, excuses, chaos, stop the sentence. Cut it in half. Don't let it finish. People assume thoughts have power. They don't. Thoughts only have the power you give them. Interrupt the sentence and you interrupt the pattern. Interrupt the pattern and you reclaim control. Step 2. Replace the script. Your mind cannot exist in a vacuum. When you remove a thought, you must replace it. Replace fear with direction. Replace doubt with evidence. Replace excuses with commands. Replace weakness with discipline. Say it out loud if you must. I choose the next thought. You have a choice, and every replacement strengthens the muscle of discipline. Step 3. Issue the command. Your mind responds to authority. Give it direction. Short, sharp, decisive. Get up. Start. Do the next step. Keep going. This is not motivation. This is not hype. This is programming. You are reprogramming your inner dialogue to obey discipline, not emotion. Because it's not about feeling confident, it's about acting with discipline. It's not about eliminating fear, it's about overriding fear. It's not about trusting your feelings, it's about trusting your standards. That's the key. Here's the truth you must accept. You cannot build a strong life with weak internal language. You cannot build a disciplined identity with chaotic internal noise. You cannot master your future until you master your inner dialogue. Your inner dialogue is your blueprint. Your inner dialogue is your operating system. Your inner dialogue is your training ground. Every day, every minute, every moment, it shapes you. You have a choice. Let it shape you by default or shape it by design. But hear this clearly. When you take control of your inner dialogue, you take control of your destiny. Strong thoughts create strong actions. Strong actions create strong identity. Strong identity creates strong discipline. And strong discipline builds a life you can be proud of. That's the chain. That's the formula. That's the path. You do not need to silence the voice. You need to lead the voice. You need to direct it, command it, sharpen it, train it. You need to make your inner dialogue your ally, not your opponent. From this moment forward, every time you hear doubt, ask yourself, is this a fact or is this fear? Every time you hear an excuse, ask yourself, is this protecting my comfort or my future? Every time you feel chaos, ask yourself, do I need to think or do I need to choose? You have a choice, and the choice you make in your mind determines the life you live in reality. This chapter is simple. Master your inner dialogue, master your discipline, master your life. You've taken control of your thoughts. Now it's time to take control of your emotional reactions. Chapter 5. The Emotional Discipline Equation. Your emotions are powerful, but power without control is destruction. That's the truth most people ignore. People think emotions are instructions. People think emotions are commands. People think emotions tell them what to do. But emotions are not commands. Emotions are signals, and you choose how to respond. You have a choice. That's the key. Every time you let anger take over, every time you let fear freeze you, every time you let sadness drain you, you are surrendering your life to temporary feelings. Your feelings were never meant to be the driver. They were meant to be the dashboard, information, not direction. Emotional discipline is not the absence of feelings. Emotional discipline is the ability to act despite them. That is your advantage. That is your edge. That is the equation. Let me break it down. There are 3 steps, 3 levers, 3 internal movements that create emotional control. Learn them, repeat them, master them. Because without this, discipline collapses. Step 1. Awareness. Most people don't feel emotions. They get swallowed by them. They get pulled into the current. They drown before they even realize they fell into the water. Awareness is the moment you say, wait, this is anger. Wait, this is fear. Wait, this is insecurity. Awareness creates distance. Distance creates control. Control creates discipline. You have a choice, but you cannot choose.
Chapter 6. Guard your focus like your life depends on it. Focus is your most valuable currency. Not time, not money, not talent. Focus. Because where your focus goes, your life follows. Most people lose not because they are weak, but because they are distracted. They scatter their attention, they chase noise, they react to everything around them, and then they wonder why their life feels chaotic. Let me be direct with you. If you don't protect your focus, the world will steal it. You have a choice. That's the key. Right now, your mind is pulled in 1,000 directions. Notifications, drama, opinions, comparisons, endless scrolling. Everyone wants a piece of your attention. Everyone wants to shape your priorities. Everyone wants to pull you off your path. But here's the truth. You can't build a disciplined life with a distracted mind. You can't build a strong identity with a scattered focus. You can't build the future you want if you can't stay locked in on the work that matters. Distraction is the silent killer of potential. It doesn't feel dangerous. It doesn't feel dramatic. It feels normal. But normal is the trap. To guard your focus, you must understand the war you're in. There are 3 focus killers you must eliminate or you will never achieve mastery. Noise, confusion, consumption. Let's break each one down. Focus killer 1, noise. Noise isn't just sound. Noise is anything that takes your mind away from what matters. People's opinions, noise. Pointless arguments, noise. Social media drama, noise. Internal overthinking, noise. You have a choice. Feed the noise or feed your discipline.
You cannot move forward if you keep letting noise pull you sideways. You cannot rise if you keep responding to everything that tugs at your attention. You must build the courage to say, "This does not deserve my focus." Focus requires boundaries. Focus requires silence. Focus requires subtraction. You don't need more inspiration. You need less noise. That's the key. Focus killer 2, confusion. Most people stay distracted because they don't know their priorities. When you don't know what matters, everything feels important. When everything is important, nothing gets done. Confusion breeds paralysis. Confusion breeds hesitation. Confusion breeds wasted days, scattered efforts, and empty outcomes. You must simplify. You must decide. You must choose the non-negotiables in your life. Ask yourself daily, what are the 3 things that move my life forward? Not 10, not 20, 3. Discipline is not doing everything. Discipline is doing what matters, consistently. You don't need more goals. You need clearer ones. That's the key. Focus killer 3, consumption. You are drowning in information, videos, podcasts, opinions, tips, advice. People scroll for hours, consuming everything, yet producing nothing. Learning everything, yet applying nothing. Feeling motivated, yet staying exactly where they are. Consumption without execution becomes addiction. It feels productive, but it steals your ability to act. Here's the truth. You don't need to consume more. You need to execute more. When you guard your focus, you limit consumption. You stop feeding your brain endless stimulation. You give your mind room to think, room to breathe, room to build discipline. Because focus grows in silence. Focus grows in simplicity. Focus grows in intentional action. Now let's talk about the solution, the structure that builds unbreakable focus. There are 3 pillars. Learn them, repeat them, live them. Pillar 1. Create a focus zone. Your environment shapes your discipline. If your environment is chaotic, your mind becomes chaotic. If your environment is cluttered, your thoughts become cluttered. You need a focus zone, a place where your mind knows, this is where we work. No distractions, no notifications, no noise. Only direction, only intention, only discipline. You are not weak. Your environment is poorly designed. Change the environment, change the output. That's the key. Pillar 2. Use the rule of 1. One task, one priority, one direction, until it is done. Multitasking is a myth. Switching tasks destroys your focus. It resets your momentum. It weakens your discipline. Success is built by doing one thing with total commitment. No wandering, no drifting, no switching. You have a choice. Commit to one direction or continue living with scattered effort and scattered results. The rule of 1 creates progress. The rule of 1 creates clarity. The rule of 1 builds mastery. That's the key. Pillar 3. Protect your attention like an asset. Your focus is a resource, a battery, a limited form of energy. But most people treat it like it's infinite. They let everyone drain it. They let everything interrupt it. They let distractions feast on it. You must protect your attention the same way you protect your money, because it is more valuable than money. Stop giving your attention to people who don't deserve it. Stop giving your attention to problems that don't matter. Stop giving your attention to impulses that don't move you forward. Attention is the gateway to identity. Guard it, defend it, respect it. You don't rise when you feel ready. You rise when you stay focused long enough to finish. That's the key. Now listen closely. This chapter is not just about focus, it's about power. The power to direct your life, the power to choose your priorities, the power to protect your energy. When you guard your focus, you become dangerous, untouchable, unshakable, precise, deliberate, effective. A distracted mind lives on autopilot. A focused mind lives with purpose. You have a choice, and your choice determines your destiny. You've learned to protect your focus. Now it's time to learn how to build the most important skill of all, relentless discipline in the dark when no one is watching. Chapter 7. The discipline you build when you're alone. Who you are in public means nothing. Who you are alone means everything. When no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one is checking, that is where discipline is either built or destroyed. This is the chapter most people run from because it forces you to face the truth. When the world goes quiet, your excuses get loud. When the noise stops, your weaknesses appear. When the distractions fade, your real habits take over. You have a choice. That's the key. Most people depend on external pressure. They need deadlines. They need supervision. They need someone standing over their shoulder. They need accountability just to complete basic tasks. But external pressure doesn't create greatness. External pressure creates dependency. The strongest people in the world don't need to be watched. They watch themselves. They self-correct. They self-direct. They self-govern. Because they know the truth. Discipline is built in isolation. Strength is built in silence. Let's break it down. There are 3 forms of discipline that only develop when you're alone. 3 forms that separate the average from the unstoppable. 3 forms that decide the identity you carry into every area of your life. 1. The discipline of honesty. When you're alone, you can lie to yourself or you can level with yourself. Most people lie. They overestimate their effort. They underestimate their distractions. They exaggerate their intentions. But when you choose honesty, everything changes. Honesty forces accountability. Honesty destroys excuses. Honesty exposes your patterns. Ask yourself, privately, truthfully, did I truly give all I had today? Did I make progress, or did I just stay busy? Did I follow through, or did I cheat the standard? You have a choice.
2. Relentless discipline. You keep going even when it's boring, painful, or lonely. You show up even when you feel empty. You stay consistent even when no one claps. Because you don't need their permission. Discipline becomes your anchor, your structure, your internal law. 3. Meaningful purpose. You know why you're fighting. You know what you're building. You know what you refuse to lose. And when purpose is clear, pain becomes fuel. Unbreakable people understand pressure. Pressure doesn't scare you when you're unbreakable. You recognize pressure as a signal. It means you're growing. It means you're leveling up. It means something important is happening. Most people panic under pressure. They crumble. They escape. They freeze. But you learn to operate in chaos. You learn to focus in storms. You learn to remain calm
when everything shakes. That calmness is not accidental. It's a trained response. Your past does not define your strength. Being unbreakable has nothing to do with where you came from. It doesn't matter if you were broken, abandoned, underestimated, or doubted. What matters is this: you chose to get back up. You chose to rebuild. You chose to fight for the life you want. That choice is what defines you. Not what happened to you, but what you do next. You don't need a perfect history. You need relentless commitment. How to become unbreakable, step by step. Here is the practical formula. 1. Train your mind daily. Meditation, silence, deliberate reflection, journaling your reactions. These practices build inner awareness, the core of mental strength. 2. Seek controlled adversity. Cold showers, difficult workouts, challenging goals, confronting uncomfortable truths. This is chosen hardship, the forge of the unbreakable mind. 3. Build a code of non-negotiables. Wake-up time, work blocks, device boundaries, daily habits. These rules are your internal armor. You don't break them because they protect the person you're becoming. 4. Cut emotional dependency. Stop needing constant encouragement. Stop waiting for validation. Stop expecting someone to save you. You save yourself. You build yourself. You discipline yourself. Because no one is coming to rescue you. And that's your greatest power. Unbreakable is quiet. Remember this: the strongest people are rarely loud. They don't broadcast their battles. They don't advertise their strength. They don't need recognition. Their discipline speaks for them. Their consistency speaks for them. Their transformation speaks for them. The world notices eventually, but that's never the goal. The goal is becoming someone you respect, someone you trust, someone you can depend on in every storm. That is the real victory. You become unbreakable by choice, not accident. Every habit you've built in this audiobook, every discipline you strengthened, every weakness you confronted, it all leads to this final truth: you don't become unbreakable overnight. You become unbreakable by choosing strength over excuses every single day. You choose discipline. You choose focus. You choose growth. You choose consistency. You choose the hard path, the right path. You choose the higher version of yourself. And eventually, the world realizes you cannot be broken. You now have the blueprint. You now have the truth. Discipline is not a skill. It's not a trick. It's not a mood you wait for. Discipline is who you become. You learned how to stop waiting for motivation, how to move when you don't feel like moving, how to embrace repetition, how to build systems, how to cut weakness early, and how to protect your mind from the noise of the world. You learned that pain is temporary, but regret is permanent. You learned that your environment shapes you, your habits define you, and your identity decides everything. So here is your challenge. For the next 30 days, act like the version of yourself who never quits. Show up when it's hard. Do the work when it's boring. Stay consistent when your mind resists. Because discipline is not what you do. Discipline is who you are.